Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Congratulations on making it to the end of another week. Welcome to your Sunday night weekend wrap up, celebrating another 7 days of prosperity and getting ready for hopefully another 7. Tomorrow's Monday is Martin Luther King Day for those of you who are going to be enjoying the federal holiday, very important holiday. So tonight's show is a pretty loose and free show because I think we covered a lot. I think we efficiently covered a lot of our topics last night, even if I almost forgot one. I'm halfway through a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so I have decided that I'm going to put on a poll earlier this week. Now, if you guys decide that you guys want to watch that show with us, then what I will do is I will do a watch party and I will include episodes 1 and 2 during it. But if you guys decide you just want to have a nice little kickback, Sunday night conversation or Sunday or Monday morning, depending on where some of you are, then we can do that. We'll do that as well. Like I said, our schedule now, our permanent schedule is going to be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those will be the days we stream. Now we'll have some special streams in between then. You may even get a Benadryl stream. Who knows? A fat burger. Hell, I might just order a fat burger and eat it on the air. Who knows? People watch the strangest shit. So, but other than that, that's going to be our permanent schedule. The Saturday show will remain. The weekend wrap up show, and then the other 2 shows will be pretty much the news of the day, pop culture stuff that we're talking about, movie reviews, all kinds of stuff like that. But 4 out of the 7 days will be on the air, unless there is some high tempo action, and then we'll adjust. Don't know if I'm going to have a co-host tonight. Whenever you have a co-host who, some of you have co-hosts that are across the world, but I have one that's 3,000 miles away and on a different time zone. So, it's understandable when he can't make it, but he may make it because he has weird hours. So don't know if there's going to be a Brad sighting tonight. So far, slow moving when it comes to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but that's typical with any Game of Thrones show. They put a lot of pieces in place those first couple episodes. So not really surprised there. But like I said, I am only like 28 minutes into a 52-minute show. So I'll let you guys know how it is. And if you guys decide we want to watch it. What else we got here? Oh, sports. Wow. Chicago Bears looked hard. They searched everywhere. They went under the couch, in between the cushions, under the bed, in the backyard. They searched long and hard for a way to lose that game, and that ends up being exactly what they did. I don't know if that was Caleb Williams out there or Vinny Testaverde. 3 interceptions, and they were all gut punches. So yeah, that one. What was the other game today? That was it. I watched it. Oh, the what was the game today? Why can't I remember what I watched today? Hold on. It's, haven't been paying attention to too much sports because I'm too busy enjoying all the suffering from anti-Dodger fans that are calling us the evil empire. Oh, fuck 'em. Let's see. We had the Bears. The Bears choked. That was a choke. And that wasn't even a good game by Matthew Stafford. That was he was horrible today, in my opinion. He threw for a bunch of yards and he moved the ball, but he wasn't great today either. So they couldn't even take advantage of a mediocre Matthew Stafford today. Let's see what we got here. Still can't get over that Denver situation. Oh yeah, Patriots and Texans. That game was sort of competitive until it wasn't. So right now, who we have left? We have the Patriots going up against the Broncos, who lost their quarterback right into one of the last plays of the game. The Broncos really shouldn't be there. Those last two pass interference plays where there was 52 yards of penalties and that interception, that was a bad look on TV. I think the Patriots, without Bo Nix, I think the Patriots are going to blow them out, to be honest with you. And then you have the Seahawks and the Rams. That's in Seattle. Of all the teams still left, I think that the Seahawks are the most complete of all those teams on both ends of the ball. So I think the Seahawks beat the Rams. I think you're going to have a Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl or rematch of a couple of years ago, 6-7 years ago, actually. So let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I listen, the Rams, that's the second week in a row where the Rams opponent really kind of handed them the win. So let's see. Well, Denny Villeneuve said a younger audience prefer to watch longer films. Is I don't know. I don't know. I don't think any. Be honest with you, Rational. I don't know if any age group has a problem with a movie length as long as the movie is good. Because let's look at it. The only time, be honest with you, that I'm really looking at my phone or starting to squirm or the bladder starts getting wild is if the movie's losing me. But if you give me 3 hours of pace, if you give me 3 hours of engagement and action, and I'm not drifting off, then it could be a 2-hour movie. It could be a 3-hour movie.
Well, I mean, like the Harry Potter movies, like a lot of those like push like 3 hours, and like most superhero movies these days, I mean, they tend to be like about an hour 40 or 140.
Blade Runner was 2 hours and 45 minutes. And when that was over, I stayed in the theater. I wanted more. I didn't leave Blade Runner 2049 wanting less. If it's your thing and if you're into the movie and you're interested in it, time flies. I remember sitting. Yeah. Hey, this is Brad.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in with my friend John, my army buddy John, sitting in there because they, like in every movie they do, if they have a sound score, they kind of do an interlude of it. They kind of mix it up, and then they while they're rolling credits. I didn't want to leave. I didn't leave until the theater's lights came on. So if it's a good movie that I'm engaged with, now with Denis Villeneuve, a lot of his movies are long. And listen, I don't have any evidence to refute him because his movies are long and his movies are good. I mean, I think both Doom movies are long as fuck, and nobody was complaining. So yeah, and
again, like I said, like superhero movies, like with how dominant they've been in the the last like 2 decades. I mean, yeah, I think most of them you can ballpark them, in the 2 hour, 20 minute or 2.5 hour range. And we've seen a lot push it to 3 hours with with Endgame. Probably going to be seeing that with Doomsday and Secret Wars. We saw that with Zack Snyder's Justice League going to 4 hours.
Well, that was okay, but that's a little bit different because that's like Irishman territory because of the fact that you weren't now in a theater. I don't know. I don't think Zack Snyder's Justice League would have been mass released
at that length.
They would have cut that shit out.
I admit that. I mean, like, for as much as we got the news, as I was excited to see it. Even I was a little bit daunted by that runtime going in, but
Oh, I ate that shit up, dude.
oh yeah,
I
for my
ate
it
that
ended
shit
up
up.
being nothing because it's like I mean I just like that those 4 hours fly
Well,
by.
when I heard it for 4 hours, I'm like, give it to me. We've been waiting.
Yeah.
4 hours,
Yeah.
4 hours of length. We've been waiting how long? And you know what? And I thought I was gonna be like, okay, people, we're gonna. I thought we were gonna do an intermission because I had a bunch of people watching it at midnight that night. And in fact, if you guys go back to 2021, you'll actually see how my setup was, and I actually had people cosplay. It was fun. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I think about 2 hours. You know, after this chapter, we're gonna go pee, grab some food. No, fuck it. We went for minute one. Now we had some pauses because of the bandwidth and everything. Everybody was on it, but we just sat there and waited. We watched that shit. Nobody went to go pee. We watched that shit from 1 to 4 hours, and I didn't think I've never done that with a movie that long.
Well, and like when I got the screener, it's like I mentioned I was out at a local ball game with my family. Then it was a Saturday. I was surprised to get sent the screener on a Saturday because I figured nobody's
That is very weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Which tells you, I think that hints to, and I remember like I got an email like the next day from like the PR folks at HBO Max. It was the tone was very much, because I got in the screener, they knew it, and the tone was very much okay. Now go on Twitter, tell me what you thought of it. I mean, so that I think that really kind of hints to like the politics going on at the time with it. But so I got that screener, and I was they told me like Friday, okay, we're gonna shoot it your way, so it's hanging there for us. And we're at the ball game, and I was checking my phone like every 5 minutes in my email for that. I finally got it like probably like about like 8 o'clock that night, and didn't get home till about like 11. And then it was one of the screeners where you had to get like the Okta Verify app with it, and I had to play around with that for a while. But I was like, no, I waited this long. This is not standing in my way. Finally got it going about a little bit before midnight, and that was just midnight to 4 for me, just blink of an eye.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't let a lot of people know this at the time because I didn't think people would understand. But when I got asked it, I said it was after you because of our relationship with
you got invited
with those companies. And I just decided not to because
you wanted to have the communal experience.
Yeah. I didn't want. See, here's the thing: you're only going to get one chance to see something for the first time, and that's what anything you do. And I just remembered how special things were when I saw
that was
when I saw Blade Runner for the first time, or I saw 2049 for the first time, when I saw Star Wars, any of these things for the first time, you don't get that again. And I just didn't. I wanted to be around people. I wanted to be around all kinds of people. Some of them had been along, because I got some local people who are all part of that. And then I have some people who weren't DC fans and have kind of mocked DC to the point, and they had grown towards us. And so we had them there. So I wanted all these people there. I wanted to watch it with them. I wanted to have this because, like I said, every time I watch a movie or I suggest somebody a movie or I'm watching it with them, and it's their first time and it's my second, third, fourth, or fifth, I just envy those people. So I decided, you know what? Because people were asking me, hey, you get I did a count. We send about 1,000 people a year to free movies. And a lot of them are waterboarded. A lot of them are waterboarded because there's only so many people that are doing that.
Sound like you said a lot of them are waterboarded.
No, waterboarded. No, yes, we waterboarded 1,000 people, but a lot of them are Warner Brothers. It's a lot of indie movies, a lot of rom-coms and stuff that we just send people to. I don't even advertise those. I only publish the ones that, like the action adventure, science fiction, or fantasy, but we send a lot of people to the movies. And we do a lot of business, with Warner Brothers, and when we were doing COVID, I never forget because we had been doing movies with Warner Brothers and handing out passes for years, and then all of a sudden, when Godzilla vs. Kong came out, we were on a telephone conference calls, and they were giving me instructions, and that this is the way it needs to be done. We're going to send somebody down there from the studio to film you showing the trailer, and I'm like, well, why just film the trailer and say, oh, we got to have one? Or hey, you know what? And every time they set a rule, I was like, whatever you guys want to do. And I would talk to my main guy, my intermediate, like, hey, well, do these people not have any faith in us? Have they not seen? And they said, no, they do. But this was really big because at that time, the future of cinema and being able to go back to the movies, we're looking at about 4 years, 5 years, 6 years in retrospect. But we were at that time in March of 2021, Godzilla vs. Kong was one of the first major ones that was going back to the theater for Warner Brothers. So it was a big deal for them. And they made sure that we had, even though we were doing a drive-in, they made sure that we had a safety protocol thing because they were going to be showing this everywhere, and they wanted to make sure that we weren't holding an event that wasn't COVID safe. There was a lot going on. We were on the phone. They had a copy. They had a copy that they wanted us to show. So we didn't even have to use our copy. They sent it to us. Same thing for BBS. When BBS came out, BBS they wanted us when we were promoting Justice League. I showed the 3-hour cut. I had to get permission to throw the 3-hour cut or the non-theatrical version. Yeah, the ultimate version. I had to get permission to show that because since they were usually when you show a movie, you have to get what's called a public performance. Like we've discussed this before when the guys
when
were
you
doing
show
the,
it, and it's not like a mainstream like wide release theatrical run of it.
Yeah, or in my house.
Yeah.
If I'm an exhibitor, which is basically what we were, so they waive that when we were advertising for them. They waive that, but you have to show exactly what they want. They let me choose which Blade Runner I wanted to show when we were promoting Blade Runner 2049 because they wanted to show the director's cut, and I tried to tell them if we're trying to get brand new people in the Blade Runner, the absolute last thing you want to show them is the director's cut without the voiceover, and they agreed, and they waived a lot of the stuff for us. So same thing with Superman. When we were pushing for those things, but yeah, when it comes to length of movies, I think it just matters if the movie is good.
Yeah.
It's just like The Irishman, which wasn't a bad movie, but there's a lot of shit in that movie that they could have cut an hour and a half off that fucking movie.
Like, again, it's like as far as we talk about younger audiences specifically, I look at things like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, or again, DC and Marvel.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is long as fuck, and I don't understand how you goddamn kids.
And that's without the extended versions.
Watching Lord of the Rings felt like reading Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, and it hurt.
Most DC and Marvel these days, they tend to like settle in like about 2 hours 20 minutes. But again, we're seeing like as far as like the big kind of like event, like culminating kind of movies, those they shoot for about like 3 hours for a lot of those now.
Yeah, hey Aaron, good point. And Star Trek folks, if you're watching, an old Trek fan, I know you're watching. If you don't like the show, like I said last night, if you watch the show and you don't like the show, you don't have to do what I'm about to ask you to do. But for the sake of Trek and what Trek means, don't shit on somebody's parade. It's simple to say, I watched it, it wasn't for me, you guys enjoy. Some of the shit I've seen, and it even bothers me even more because nothing will aggravate me more when I see something pre-shitted on. Like The Acolyte, you can tell me, oh, The Acolyte was this, and that, and I watched it. Okay, I could have bought a lot of that, and that's fine. But before The Acolyte was even done, people were like, oh, what is this? There's going to be two women. And so when I see you pre-shitting on things, I don't forget what I see. I'm not that old to the point where I'm like, oh, were you one of the ones that were peeing on it months and almost a year before? And the same thing that we went through the same thing with the comic book movies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've pre-shit on something, I don't want to fucking hear from you.
There was actually a really good post that went live I think over this weekend where it had like the poster for BVS, the poster for Civil War side by side, and it said something to the effect of like this the CBM landscape was just different.
It was horrific, dude. It was horrific. Yeah. I wanted to slap the shit out of people, and these are fellow geeks. And like I said, listen, you don't like it. I understand. But there's nothing wrong with allowing somebody to enjoy this show. And guess what? I've been pleasantly surprised at a lot of people who are boys, because a lot of times the people who love something will just love it and watch and keep watching while it's there. They'll go, if they like something, they'll buy it. They'll continue to buy it. They're not the loud ones. It's usually the people who hate stuff that are running around with their shitty diaper wanting to throw it in your face. But this show, maybe it's split 50-50, but I'm hearing about the 50 that like it. I'm hearing people defend something they like. Now, you don't have to do that, by the way. And my thing for you guys who do like the show, don't get caught up in those weeds. Don't respond to these people. Don't, unless they're engaging with, like, when you're talking to somebody who's that you can get a good, you all know your people around you. But if it's this is some blah blah bullshit and fuck this blah blah blah, just move on, scroll down. And I'm not saying don't talk to people who have a difference of opinion, but if their opinion is based on just the kind of you'll know it, the keywords are all there. Just move on. Don't let these people ruin Star Trek for you. I would be an asshole if every time somebody said Lower Decks, Lower Decks. That show drives me crazy, but it makes other Trek fans happy, so I have it. And guess what? I just checked Paramount Plus, my Paramount Plus account. I just checked all my Star Trek stuff. The old stuff, the older stuff that I like, it didn't disappear because Lower Decks was left. Now, there are some legitimate people who are like, well, why are we getting Starfleet Academy when all of us want Star Trek Legacy? You have to realize those plans were put in place and this was already done. And nobody thought that Picard season 3, after seasons 1 and 2 were basically mayonnaise and toast, were going to be the delicatessen that it was when Star Trek. Picard season 3 is one of the best seasons of Star Trek, period, on any show, any Star Trek show. I wasn't expecting that shit. I was tired of the Borg because they had used them already. I was kind of getting tired of John Luke because they weren't doing anything with him. And they pulled that season out of their ass, so nobody knew Metalis was already predestined. So I don't want to hold Starfleet Academy accountable for us not getting 7 of 9 as captain of the USS Enterprise. I truly believe we're going to get that. And David Ellison, if you're watching, well, I'm in trouble if you are. If you're watching, because you've heard what I had to say about you. If you're watching, you want to endear yourself to a whole swath of fans. You want to have Star Trek fans kissing your ass. You do that show right now.
And by all outward appearances, you are a man who loves a good ass kissing.
Yeah. If you want to change the narrative and bring a whole bunch, old Trek fan is coming for that. New Trek fan loved that. Everybody loves that. People love the Next Generation, even though they don't remember. They don't think I remember you, motherfuckers. The fuck is this? How come we just can't have another show with Kirk? Did you see Star Trek 5? There'll never be another Enterprise. Where's Bones? All that. And then those same old Trek fans, you motherfuckers are lucky we didn't have the internet and Twitter and all this shit, because your asses would have been clipped and freeze framed and all that. Because you were all hypocrites. All those people that hated Star Trek: The Next Generation, we're going to boycott this show. Those same people are like.
That's why I say. I said. And that's why I say the other night with the pre-shitting you're referring to, it's like if you have a change of heart, you come over. That's why I say, okay, I get to take the piss out of you one time.
I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to give them that look like you know who you are. And now in retrospect, Star Trek: The Next Generation is the preeminent, is the most loved that generation, that era. And it's rightfully so, because they did a lot. But when it comes to new Trek now, something new and something different, they don't remember that. They don't remember how it felt for Star Trek: The Next Generation and DS9 to be new to them. Now we got a whole new generation of Trek people that I want as part of Trek. Even if it means that it's going to change Trek a little bit more to their liking, I'm okay. I still got all these other shows. So stop drawing these battle lines when it comes to Star Trek. Old Trek fan has shown you what happens. Go look at Enterprise.
Which fandom do you think is more conflict prone, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'd have to say Star Trek, because there's more Star Trek to be conflict prone over.
Yes, yeah.
I think Star Trek, for the amount of Star Trek we have, it's bad. It's really bad.
I mean, Star Wars has the expanded universe, but that also that doesn't tend to be like
it doesn't even exist. I mean, they basically bring it in and out. Unless you're Thrawn, you can pull Thrawn out of your ass and say he's canon, but I don't get Exar Kun, I don't get Ulic Krell drama.
You don't see like Star Wars fans like tending to be like kind of really negative about the expanding. Where the negativity is things like Han shot first and midichlorians and
the negativity is on a lot of things that are. I mean, there's a lot of misogyny in Star Trek. There's a lot of misogyny in Star Trek. There's still a little bit of there's a lot of bad things that reflect society in Star Trek. But the biggest thing about not Star Trek, Star Wars, the biggest problem and biggest difference between Star Wars and Star Trek is the one I've always brought up, is the fact that every time I jump into Star Trek, the universe gets bigger. I meet new people. I go to different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Star Wars is a cul-de-sac with the same fucking people that you've been living there.
I think you were saying a little bit on the box stream on Friday, and I think that's actually something you can sense, even if you're kind of like a general audience guy, if you're even kind of like outside of like Star Wars, Star Trek fandom. I think that's actually very visible, within both franchises. That Star Trek, there's always like a new spin-off or a new side story or a new set of characters. Or
We're 1,000 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally 1,000 years into the future, and then
And
even on the vodka stream, people are like, "Well, they had to do the Skywalker because nobody would come see it." All right,
well, we're gonna get a test run of that too in a couple months here with Mandalorian. We're gonna see like how we're gonna see the
Mandalorian is still in the Skywalker.
I don't think it's gonna do like $1 billion, but I think it's gonna do very well.
It's still in the hole. Here's the thing, though: when you're telling me that and that people say it's not fair, and everybody on the like I said, when I'm on the vodka stream, I bring this up, they all disagree with me, and that's fine. And I've been on Enosh show when this reliance on the Skywalker. It's and people in chat. Star Wars is about the Skywalkers. No, it's not. No, it's not. Star Wars was about the Skywalkers. You're going to tell me in a galaxy far, far away, a galaxy, not a neighborhood. When they do the scroll, it doesn't say a cul-de-sac really close to you. No, it says a galaxy, long, long gone, a galaxy far, far away. A galaxy. You know how big a galaxy is? They've even told you how big their galaxy and how vast their galaxy is.
You are this big compared to a galaxy.
So I'm always going to disagree, and a lot of Star Wars fans come in the store and they say that they don't think that Star Wars should move on from the Skywalkers, and I think it's essential that it does.
I need to walk that back. Actually, what I said a minute ago too, because we did have a Star Wars that was not Skywalker centric. It was very successful. It's called Rogue One.
Yeah, but what I mean is nothing. We're still in the same cul-de-sac.
So you were talking about like nothing involving like the Empire or like the Darth Vader.
No, all that we got to go.
Skywalkers at all. Okay,
we got to go. The only time I want to see a Skywalkers is a statue at a temple somewhere. But I run into these Star Wars fans are like, and they try to tell me Star Wars is about this guy. No, what you know of it is. And what they keep feeding you because they're afraid to feed you something else. They're going to keep giving you bologna and mustard because they're afraid to pull out something prime rib because you'll reject that. You know,
I was really hyped when we saw Ahsoka pop up on Mandalorian. That she got her own show and that she was,
that's because Dave Filoni created the characters.
And she, of course, she was on Clone Wars. On that. I mean, she's like Ahsoka Tano, like on her own is like, makes the argument for like you could do a Star Wars project that's not centric on the Skywalkers with a character that's already resonated with the Star Wars fan base. That's Ahsoka Tano. She's like the biggest break, probably other than maybe Din Djarin, she's the biggest breakout non-Skywalker character of Star Wars.
But then you all roads lead back to them though. Ahsoka led you to another appearance of Darth Vader, which I'm all right with. And Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker. Everybody was like, "This is peak Star Wars because we got Luke Skywalker back." And yeah, it was fun. But at the same time, it was, and I said so at the time. It's like a drug you can't quit, and your tree is not growing because you don't, you just let it die on the same shit. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that era, but you got to realize I've been on the planet all but a few years that Star Wars has been around. And I mean, my existence Star Wars came out in 1977, so it's been around pretty much my entire life. So my entire life has been centered around these characters. And I'm not saying I don't love these characters, but I that's all I've had for 50 fucking years. That's all you got. You look at Star Trek. Star Trek is the 60th year this year, right? We've had Janeway, we've had
Galaxy Quest.
It's not Galaxy Quest. And by the way, guys, and I that's one thing that I will engage you with.
Seventh best Star Trek movie. Polling.
Listen, you're fucked up in the head, in my opinion. All right.
I don't have a dog in that fight. I just thought it was a funny movie.
There is no fight. There's no fight. You're not fucked up in the head, but listen, this is a remote control, right? Like I've always told you, I'm going to keep using this example to all right, I want this to be a fat burger. I'm gonna think right now. I'm gonna wish right now. I'm gonna want so much for this remote to turn into one of my triple kings that I can scarf down and add 2 pounds of weight to my body. That's what I want this right now. Well, more than anything, guess what? At the end of the day, it's still remote. Your desire for something to be something else doesn't make it something else. All you're really doing, in my opinion, is trying to start a fight with other Star Trek fans. You know that's bullshit. You know that the Orville is not Star Trek. You know that Galaxy Crest is not Star Trek. You know that. And there's nothing wrong with either of those franchises and those movies and those shows. 9 times out of 10, you're just trying to fuck with other fans that aren't fans of the Trek that you hold dear. That's all it is. Nothing wrong with Orville until it becomes a bat to try to hit Trek fans over the head with. If you're enjoying Discovery, that new Trek, oh no, you need to watch Orville. Orville's more Trek than Trek. You're only doing that to start a fight. You're only doing that because you know better. I don't think any of you people that do this shit are stupid. Some of you are brilliant. You're Star Trek fans. But when you do that, you know what you're doing. You know you're starting a fight. And Star Trek fans who are enjoying new Star Trek, listen, if somebody wants to have a nice discussion with you about the Orville or Galaxy Quest crap, but you know those people are coming in, rolling up that newspaper to try to rub your nose, and this is better than look at it. This is what Gene Roddenberry would have wanted because we can read his mind. He's been gone for 40 years. Yeah, no. That's why I say ignore these guys. Just move on. When they start doing that shit, you know that you don't need to have a conversation. In my opinion, the conversation is ended when somebody comes in with that shit. New Trek. The Orville's better. You're done. You don't have to block them. Just don't respond to them. There's plenty of the internet is vast and it is huge. There's plenty of space in the internet for you not to run into those people if you are enjoying New Trek. Now, somebody comes and says, "Hey, man, this reminds me of the Orville. I think the Orville," but like you're gonna know, who they are. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
Well, we have a super chat from Skep Rational, so I'm just gonna pull that up. William Dave Filoni was giving you old High Republic, old Republic, High Republic, and Dawn of the Jedi, all non-Skywalker timeline projects. Why are you doing?
I love the support, Rational, and I love the Bible. I've told you about this. I need to see the shit. You've been in our world. We've been told we were gonna get stuff, and it's like with the football and Lucy and Charlie Brown.
We're gonna get like a Ryan Johnson trilogy.
Okay. Now, why am I dooming and glooming? I'm not dooming and glooming. Remember what I said. I don't hate Star Wars. I just am not engaged in Star Wars right now. I peek in Andor. I love Andor. Mandalorian last season made me wonder if there was anything left in the tank. Book of Boba Fett was awful. I'm not big into the Clone Wars. I'm not big into any of that stuff, even though I've seen the stuff. I am just waiting. It's not doom and gloom. I desire more from Star Wars than Star Wars even thinks it's capable of giving me sometimes. Now, if David Filoni gives me Knights of the Old Republic, or he gives us something, I would, even something, further into the future, then you will hear me. I will do it on this show because I will be happy. But here's the thing. You got to give me credit, Rational. I'm not one of these guys who's like anti, I'm not going to tell you not to watch Star Wars because they're not giving me what I want. If you're enjoying Star Wars right now, listen, like I always say, never force yourself into a party where the vibe isn't for you. There's plenty of other places for you to go to be, with viewers. I'm just not going to watch until that comes around. Starfighter, I'm going to take a look at it, but I'm not going into it because we run a channel that talks about Star Wars, Star Trek, science fiction, all kinds of stuff. So I would be remiss. And who knows? I may like it, but I want more. I want more. I want a bigger universe. I think you're this reliance on this particular era, this ball of time has been I think it's been damaging, and it boxes them into a corner. Right now, the creators are starting until Filoni does this. And if he does it, I'm on board. They've boxed themselves into a very few options. Like right now, what I'm asking for, is not even on the table yet. It's in pre-production, or it's been pre-production forever. The fucking Timothy Zahn books have been out for 30 years. Now, they've shown that they can go back and get that non-canon stuff in because Thrawn, that's not even the Thrawn we see is not even the one that was in the book. See, I mean, he's dead. He's dead before this era, but I'm okay with it. I mean, like I said, doom and gloom is a little bit powerful. I'm just not going to watch until I get what I want.
I'm gonna bring up a feature I had published last year on Fortress
Thank you for the
that
$5,
relates.
man.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. That relates a little bit to this because it actually kind of this thought kind of started occurring a bit to me in the I'm talking about specifically like the pre-shitting on stuff and how rampant that is specifically in the superhero realm. I think DC is a lot more subject to that than Marvel, although Marvel I think is starting to feel a little bit of that. And it relates to
I envy you.
oh,
I
what you
envy
think,
you.
man?
He said he loved it.
Yeah, but let me pull this up, and I'm not doing this like just like just kind of have play around with Williams. Like this is in earnest here. It'll come up. I'm also gonna put it in the chat for you guys to read. Because Aaron also, I think, very much shares my thoughts on this. Because I've made no secret on this show, like one of my big genres, one of my big things in life, is martial arts. It's kung fu movies, martial arts flicks, that kind of thing. I'm also a big superhero fanboy. And in the last few years, it's really sprung into focus for me. There's a lot of baggage of being, into the DC stuff, the Marvel stuff, the Cape shit, in terms of like the fan discourse that you just don't find in like martial arts fandom. Like William, like, and again, in all seriousness, I mean, this is like me just like making a side by side comparison. Like you heard me like bring up my anticipation for the Furious coming up.
Yeah, yes,
Or,
I can.
And there's no, and there's now notice how little they're pre-whining there is about that. It's or how like, oh, this isn't like my Hong Kong action or anything. Right, you could like draw a comparison that with like anything like like with other like martial arts heavy stuff. It's like that doesn't happen with that.
Well, because the community comes from a place of a little bit more discipline, than comic books and stuff. And I'm not saying we're not disciplined, but the discipline is built into. If you are into martial arts, you understand what you're watching, and a lot of people who watch martial arts are in martial arts. It's one of the most disciplined, even-minded things you can do, and there's a decorum about martial arts. There's a respect factor around martial arts. It's a free-for-all in comic books and science fiction. It's just whatever.
And there's also, and I'm going to put the article in the chat for you guys, but one thing I go into in this also is that one thing that martial arts as a genre benefits from, I think, is simplicity. Is because what are we in this ultimately for? We're in to see people kicking ass. Yeah, it's like that's it's not hard to cater to that. It's not hard for people to like feel unless the ass kicking is very underwhelming. It's like people, it's hard to feel like you haven't gotten what you're after with that. And I also kind of like tie it into now when these two genres kind of cross over. That's when you see the again the negative kind of discourse we're talking about within cape shit, within Star Wars, within sci-fi, within all that kind of feed into that a little bit. So quite a while, and I finally put pen to paper, or fingers to keyboard, and typed it up last year on Fortress. So I'll go ahead and share it in the chat for you guys. And again, William, I'm not bringing this up to like just plug the Furious again. It's like this.
No, I understand the comparison. And I think a lot of the differences when you're talking about characters, especially superhero characters, is people take it personally.
Because it's like a religion. I mean, it's like
Zach said that, and I sort of agree with that, but I'm going to go a bit further. People, when you go see something and you're a part of something, not only is there an affiliation, but it reminds you connect that with a time in your life, whether it be your childhood or something else. That is a personal thing to you. You have attached yourself to that. Like when Christopher Reeve Superman, when people get all antsy about that because it reminds them of their upbringing. And they don't understand that your upbringing is not going to change because there's a difference. What you're doing is you're kind of pissing on someone else's upbringing because while they're growing up, here's another Superman that they're going to have the same feeling about as you, but they attach these things to their childhood memory. And when you change them or you update them, they take it personally because they see that as their own thing, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, another thing I could have as far as that feature I just shared, I've also noticed is that horror doesn't tend to be as kind of like, in the mudslinging of fandom wars, like Star Wars.
Unless it's a remake. Well, because there's nothing cohesive and there's no world building there.
Yeah.
Most of the things that have this kind of discourse in fandoms are world builds. Star Trek is a world that has been built. Star Wars is a world that has been built. Superhero fandom is a world, especially in the modern post X-Men. And that's why X-Men is the most important comic book movie, because prior to that we were not building worlds. But when you're talking about
singular characters,
when you're talking about building worlds, you're talking about a whole different infrastructure mentality of people putting themselves in that world. So yeah, it's a big difference in than a religion. And now it becomes a religious aspect because you look at things as much larger than life than they are. But but because they are a world, I mean, it's not just Cable as Superman. It's Cable as Superman standing next to Batman, standing next to Wonder Woman, standing next to Aquaman. It's not just Captain Kirk. It's Captain Kirk, the Klingons, the Vulcans, Spock, Bones, other Starfleet ships. I mean, Picard. I mean, there's so many other
Superman,
things.
he's often likened, being like Jesus in a cape, and it's like people accord him that kind of iconography.
I mean, Jesus is the ultimate immigrant story. The world needs to really understand with not Jesus. I say Jesus.
Moses.
No, there's also Superman.
The Moses, influence, yeah.
Superman is the ultimate immigrant story. I mean, he's literally, if Superman technically is an illegal alien. He's living in America and he ain't got papers. He was the ultimate immigrant story, and a lot of these, I often express this, a lot of these characters were relatable because they were at a time when we had a lot of mass immigration coming over from Europe, because what was happening over there. Almost every major character, and I'm not exaggerating, every major character created from those eras all the way up until from the 1940s all the way up until the golden age of Marvel was created by Jewish immigrants or first generation. Stanley Lieberman, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Bob Kane. These are all first generation Jewish Americans, or they were immigrants themselves. So it's the ultimate, and that's why comic book characters have always been relatable. And then now we relate ourselves to them and the time that we were when we went to go see these movies. And so, which is okay, but like anything. So say if you want to connect it to a religion, there's a religion, people go to church every day and they don't harm any people, but then you have extremists that do. So
that's not necessarily that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there is like a yin and yang to it, where it's you have within you have your kind of general flock, but you also kind of have the fundamentalists who kind of take things too far.
Yeah, you have the crazy people. So, and then the crazy people are the ones that get on the news because they're the loudest. All right, jump 1,000 years into the future for Star Wars and start fresh, new Force users, new lore, new characters. I'm all for it. That's what I've been asking for. But everybody tells me, "Are you know anything about Star Wars? It's gotta have Skywalker in it." I'm like, dude. Every time I leave my Star Wars house, my neighborhood is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And now, not only do I have the same fucking neighbors that I've had since 1977, they don't get old and die. They just get new faces put on them. They get recast. So my neighbors are probably gone. But because we got to have these guys here, we're going to let's superimpose Mark Hamill's face on Luke Skywalker for the next 100 years. I think it's time to move on.
As far as like integrating a Skywalker into like in a non-Skywalker centric Disney Star Wars project, I think Mandalorian season, that was the one that probably handled best for me, was the Mandalorian season 2, which I get, there's CGI in the face on, but it put him in there in a way that it felt the least crowbarred in to me. It felt like this actually served a narrative purpose.
Yeah, and I'm just, listen, I love Luke Skywalker. I mean, I grew up with Luke Skywalker. I grew up with Han Solo, but I also grew up with William Shatner's Captain Kirk. And that universe has been able to expand, whether they wanted to or not. They allowed themselves to grow. There's no way I think of there's no one thing I think about Star Trek when I think of Star Trek. Whereas when it comes to Star Wars, I am forced to think of this cul-de-sac because that's where we've been, but when I think of Star Trek, every generation has had its captain. If you look at it, every generation since 1966 has had their captain. The baby boomers who started all this shit, they had Kirk. Generation X, we had Picard, and we had Picard, we had JFK, we have Cisco. All right, the millennials, you've had them all. Millennials, you've had you've had access to everybody. You've had Christopher. Everybody. There's been something in there over the years now, and that includes the Civil War that we fought with old Trek Band. They were still putting out stuff that generations of stuff.
Actually, now that you mention that, this is. Have you seen the movie Fanboys? Yeah, the Fanboys.
I think I did.
It's the one. It's set during '98 when the group of friends they have one friend dying of cancer, so they go to the Skywalker Ranch to steal a print of Phantom
heard of this, but I have not seen it. I've heard of it.
And there's this one kind of section they devote to it where they kind of like cross paths with this group of Trekkies, and they're at each other's throats, and they make a big and that's the stuff. Do Star Trek and Star Wars fans like have that much animosity like between each other? Because it's not, that was the first I was really clued in on that.
Yeah, especially in the mid 2000s. In the mid 2000s, it was really it almost. In my opinion, the general Star Trek fan was still showing up to the shows and the conventions and stuff like that. But as far as Star Trek programming.
Yeah, that movie takes place. It takes place in late '98 because their friend's going to die of cancer in 4 months. They're trying to get because Phantom Menace is out till 6, so they want to go to Skywalker Ranch and steal a print of Phantom Menace for that. So it takes place in that time frame.
It didn't get too bad until from like 2004 ish till about when Discovery came out. That's when it got really bad. And kudos to Paramount Plus, CBS Plus, whatever the fuck you were then, for recognizing that show had a rough start and a lot of people were hitting on it. They stuck with Discovery. Discovery got 4 or 5 years, and that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get on the streaming channel. Discovery went through a lot, and they stuck with it. And magical things happen when you stick with your product. And because they stuck with Discovery, we got Strange New Worlds. And old Trek fan is still out there, but we're moving on to these things with or without them. And I would rather, old Trek fan, if you're watching, I want you around. I'm one of you.
Well,
I'm an offshoot, I guess. I'm an offshoot, but I'm one of you. I want you around. I want to engage you in good Trek conversations. You just got to want to.
And I think you'd mentioned too, because the first Star Trek movie I saw was the 09. I think those are called the Kelvin timeline with the Asian ones. Yeah, and so that was my entry point to Star Trek. And I think you talked about the smart move they made with that was Abrams or Paramount or whoever basically just made clear to Star Trek fans, listen, we're heading down this road, come or don't come.
That's it. Mm. And all of them were like, we're not going to. Yeah, you did. You were there. The numbers showed.
Yeah, look at how big a hit that first one was.
And then from that kept Star Trek in the conversation because remember when that came on, we went from 1987 to the end of Enterprise. It was the first time that we hadn't had Star Trek on TV in all that time. From 1987 all the way up until Enterprise, that debacle that ended up to be. From that point, that was the first time. So we're talking about we're 4 or 5 years into that period, and then we get that 7 years later. We get 2017. We get Discovery. Everybody's hating Discovery and all that, but you know what? Enough people were watching it, and that's the thing where the sea change happened. Is because the haters are loud doesn't mean that they're the majority or that they're everyone. And when you have these production companies start, and this is across the board, doesn't matter whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, when you come to the realization the loud ones aren't necessarily everyone. They are there, but they are not all that there is. Once Trek started to do that, they freed themselves. They freed themselves. And for me, in a different way, I think Star Wars needs to free themselves to go on and be able to do some different things. I think I'm going to be in disagreement with a lot of these guys because I think Star Wars has more to offer than we've been given this half century. And I think the reason we're not getting it is because there's a reliance. And people come at me when I say fear, it's fear. I think it's fear. And when somebody comes at me and says, "Oh, well, I don't think it's fear," then what's the word for it? Apprehension, fear, same thing. You're afraid to branch out Because even though Rational was right, Dave Filoni is thinking about this thing. This is too fucking late. That should have been what you came into 2015 thinking. But they didn't want to do that because Skywalker has been the security blanket. Just because something has been successful for you doesn't mean something else can't be. I know what the Skywalker saga means to people. I know how much money it's made. But does that mean that brand is confined to that? And then people give me the devil. Well, we had the Mandalorian, same fucking cul-de-sac. Well, what about Clone Wars? Same fucking cul-de-sac. I want to leave this neighborhood. Maybe perhaps go into a different county. Oh my goodness. But until Star Wars gives me that, I've distanced myself from Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek is definitely giving me that. But until Star Wars, gives me that, and if these projects that Filoni's working on come to fruition, well, I'll be there. But until then, I'm not going to be like the people who are hating on it and making entire YouTube careers and streaming careers and social media careers hating on something. I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of energy. And I don't have that kind of desire. If you're doing something that doesn't interest me, I just move on to something that does. It's that easy. I don't know, know how hard that is. Hello, Duckman.
Aaron, got a few for me here. Being a martial arts film fan is having Zen. Totally agree. Oh, she also mentions Bill Finger.
Yeah, Bill Finger was all those guys, all an astounding amount of them.
And his name jumped in my head when you're listing them off. Like, yeah, he just keeps getting short. And I'm not saying you were doing it intentionally. But again, literally, BVS was the first Batman movie that he received screen credit as co-creator for Batman. Bill Finger got cheated. He got screwed so bad out of his contributions to Batman.
Not by anybody who knew Batman, though. Everybody like a guy like me or most people who knew anything about Batman, all the people that mattered, the general audience, fuck them. I mean, they weren't going to remember Bill Fingers. Half of them, the general audience, not the geeks, the general audience wouldn't know who Bob Kane was if he came back from the grave and did the moonwalk across their front. They wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. But the guys like us, like the geeks and nerds,
well, I'm talking about this. I mean, like financially, certainly Finger and definitely.
Well, everybody did, and it's happening to this day.
Yeah, well, like C. Schuster, they also now
because look at
that was
Bob Kane. Bob Kane didn't get any extra money.
Well, yeah, but he didn't die a poor man either, by any means.
He didn't die. He didn't. I mean, he didn't die rich. A lot of these guys, because listen, and it sucks, and that's why we have Image, is because when you are creating something for a company, you're hired. You're hired work. Whatever you create belongs to them. And that's what made all these cases so complicated. Schuster and Siegel if you want to look at it that way, they got royally fucked. Yeah. And then they weren't using they got fucked to the point where DC wouldn't use certain characters because they didn't want to pay them any type of royalties.
I do think now with them it's a little bit more situational because the comics industry was still kind of emerging at the time they created Superman. So it's like not to say there wasn't like any underhanded.
It's the same era that Bill Finger and Bob Kane were in. It's the same. I mean, same thing with Spawn. So, or not Spawn, or Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane brought that book to the heights that it had never seen before. He got paid per assignment, by assignment.
Oh, if anybody in the comics industry knows how to make a buck.
Yeah, and that's why he left, because that situation that we came out of those creators, they didn't really get screwed per se. If you work for me and you create something for me, you're working for me. That's to this day. Yeah, you're freelance. Just like Miles Morales, the lady who played, who did she didn't get anything from that movie. That work belongs to Marvel, and I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not taking a side because I think if I am something I'm making a lot of money and you help me make a little bit of money, I think it's just good to, because guess what? You keep people creatively helping you out and bolstering your shit. But I'm not them. So yeah, Bill Finger was Jewish. There was a lot. I mean, Steve Ditko. I said. Joe Simon, who created Captain America, Joe Simon was Jack Kirby, the King. There's a lot, and you just they dominated the industry. They dominated. They didn't just dominate the industry. I'm sorry, they fucking created the
They
industry.
defined the industry.
Between Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, almost half of everything that you see when you go to an MCU movie, half of everything you see was created by them, and the other half was derivative of their creations.
Yeah.
So if you're a character that appeared in X-Men, Thor, Spider-Man, any of this shit, those are their grandchildren, basically.
Was William Moulton Marston, was he Jewish?
I am not sure. You can look him up.
He's the creator of Wonder Woman. Let me look him up real quick.
But yeah, it's
yeah, I can't. I'm not seeing anything about that.
Well, it'll say it in the history. It was born to a so and so family.
Yeah,
because a lot of people, somebody was trying to tell me that Stan Lee wasn't Jewish. I'm like, what?
His full name was
Stanley Lieberman.
Lieber.
His brother still goes, who's living today, still goes by Lieberman.
Not Lieberman, Lieber.
I thought it was Lieberman.
No, that you're confusing him with Joe Lieberman, I think. Yeah, his legal name was Stanley Martin.
I'm not. I'll go.
And his pen name Stan Lee.
Stan Lee, and that's what a lot of people did back then because there was still a lot of racism and bigotry, and that name, you were trying to fit in, So, but yeah, I mean, I can't. I did a show on this, or I did, but on this just and because of why DC's, why DC was so a little bit darker than Marvel was from their inception. It was because a lot of the people knew what was going on in Europe to their relatives, and they were creating these characters to be what they wanted to be able to do.
I mean, a lot of the most iconic superheroes ever created were created by the descendants of Holocaust survivors.
Yeah, I mean, Captain America #1 is literally him punching Hitler.
And I love that the first movie. I love how they used that in there. That they took that comic cover and they actually integrated that into his origin story in the movie.
Superman is fighting Nazis, so yeah, are
That's one of my favorite. I thought that was so
and the Klan, by the way.
Yeah. I thought that was so clever the way they integrated that into First Avenger with he's a USO mascot and he's in movies and he's got comics written about him, and they integrate the Hitler punch on the stage show he does too. I love that part. I love that aspect of the that's First Avengers of Phase 1 of all the lead up to Avengers. That's my favorite one is the First Avenger.
Yeah, that's in my top. I love all three of even Civil War, which technically is a Captain America movie, but it's an Avengers movie because they're all in it. Spider-Man and Black Panther make their first appearances in those movies, so that was a huge movie. But yeah, Bill Finger, a lot of these guys, like I said, they had an impact, and they were telling stories, that they could relate to. So yeah, I've always gone back to that because it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and that's why Stan Lee was such a big civil rights guy in the 60s. And I saw something. I think it was it was somebody who I was following, and somebody tried to dispute that the X-Men weren't about civil rights, and they're like, it's 5 white people. How can it be about 60 white? And I'm like, listen, dude, neither one of us were back in the 60s, but I can go ask my dad and my mom about a lot of allies they had back then that had to get things past editors, and you weren't getting anything of color right there and then. And as a matter of fact, you did not have any of us in prominent roles until Black Panther in 1966. That's why that was so important.
When did John Stewart come back for DC? What was it?
1970.
He was after Black Panther, right?
He was 72, 73. But you have to realize the world was changing, and as the world changed, then you started to see, by the time X-Men #1 came around, you saw X-Men mutants from all over the world. You had Storm, you had Sunfire, you had a Russian in there, you had all kinds of things. They were literally following the blueprint that Gene Roddenberry had set about with Star Trek. And remember, even he faced a lot of heat. That interracial kiss, he got death threats over that, from what I hear. They Stan Lee pushed the envelope as far as they could in the early 60s, but it wasn't until the civil rights was exploded on your TV. See, it was a difference between hearing about civil rights and hearing about what was going on in the South and seeing it for 2 or 3 minutes on the news. When the Edmund Pettus Bridge, when all that stuff broke out on TV, not only did that give Stan Lee and all those people license to be as diverse as they always wanted to be, it changed the world, because even when Kennedy is watching that put more pressure on the civil rights bill. And then when Lyndon B. Johnson saw that, that put more pressures on the voting rights. So these things change the world. So they definitely change comic books.
When we do an analog, or we do a metaphor or something, it doesn't. It's not all outwardly isn't going to like appear necessarily directly as what.
Mutants were disenfranchised, and they were the other.
Yeah,
mutants were they were different.
And of course, you had the comparison between Xavier and Magneto. Like Xavier was seen as Martin Luther King. Fitting, we're talking about this going to Martin Luther King Day now, and then Magneto was Malcolm X. So you had really over parallels between the two figureheads of like the dividing line between mutants fight for freedom and the kind of leading civil rights leaders of their time.
All right. I'm going to mute you, and please do not unmute you.
Oh, okay. Well, you muted yourself, man.
I'm meant to mute you because you know why. Just please stay muted. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? We're talking about Jewish creators. We're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Star Trek. We're talking about sinners. We're talking about all manner of shit. What stream are you watching right now? This stream is open for people to come in the chat and say whatever the hell they want to. I'm very tolerant here. But what are you talking about right now? Are we talking about Zack Snyder? Are we talking about... Hold on.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, hold on. And if you have a problem with this man's work, that is a problem that you're bringing that into our chat. We are not talking about that right now. All right, whatever cultist has hurt you, you got a problem with them. I've never banned you completely because I don't feel like that's the answer. All I've ever asked of you is if you come in here, join the conversation. You're bringing some bullshit up. What are you even talking about, dude? You're not even talking about any of this. This is not your This is not your forum to come here with this. If you want to stalk Brad and do all that, and he wants to buy, that is a relationship that does not take place on this show. Now, if we were talking about this, and we are not, if we were talking about this, I could see it. But you came in here you didn't even come out of left field. You're not even in the ballpark, dude. So what is wrong with you? I guess that's long story short.
I think I know what triggered this is because Zach, actually, while we were on, he posted another image on Instagram of Henry Cavill, and he said, "If you want me to go ahead and show it."
No, we're not. I'm not letting this. We weren't talking about it before, not out of dislike or anything.
I'll put in the chat though. I'll put in the chat.
No, don't even do that. Why are we letting Donovan dictate what I don't care. I don't care what Zach is posting right now.
Well,
I don't care about Zach right now. After I'm done with my show, Donovan, maybe I'll look at it. But we're not talking about that right now. And that goes for anybody. If you're going to join the conversation, which we want you to join, stay in the ballpark.
Yeah. But yeah, he posted on Instagram an image of Henry Cavill. He says actually the first he ever took of him in the Christopher Reeve suit. So, and of course, that's making the rounds. I had some fun with it, where I said, keep sharing, Zach. But
once again, what in the fuck does that have to do with what we have been talking about for an hour and 7 minutes? What does that have to do with that? Don, you could have came in and you could have added to the conversation. We could have talked Sinners. We could have talked Denny Villeneuve. We could have talked 3-hour movie. We could have talked a whole bunch of stuff. You came in with some bullshit that we aren't even talking about, dude. And I know a lot of people give you heat because I've seen you pop up in other channels. And all I've ever asked is if you're going to come here, become part of the conversation, or don't come here. You just derailed. What are you doing? Am I? Does it look like right now I'm carrying what Zack Snyder is? But not that I won't look. I'm in the middle of a show, dude. We're talking about the history of comic books and shit.
I saw it and posted it while we're talking about it, and I didn't bring it up.
So yeah, all right. So seriously, and by the way, guys, Listen, I'm a Snyder fan, not a cultist. You know, you guys are
I'm a
full of
Snyder
shit when
fan.
you guys tell me that. But I can go days, I can go weeks, I can go months, I can go years without talking it because it's not the topic of the day. So who's texting me right now? So all right, so let's see.
On that note, what else? Where were we?
Let me go ahead and let you in timeout.
Yes.
Time out. I'm being patient with you. All right, let's see.
God knows you haven't earned any, Donovan.
But yeah, that's the history of a lot of that stuff. What were we? Bill Finger created Alan. Yeah, he made, and like I said, when they there's a lot of controversy around Alan Scott's Green Lantern too.
They eventually made him. When did they officially make Alan Scott gay?
I can't remember what the exact year was, but I know that was
like his creation, but that was the 21st century.
Yeah, that pissed a lot of people off. That pissed a lot of people off. You know, it's not, and I think they did it with that character because a lot of the modern era doesn't recognize him as the Green Lantern. It's always going to be Hal Jordan because those characters. The reason why you have a new Flash and everything else is because after World War II, the decline in sales of comics happened, and a lot of people just stopped publishing comics. I mean, you know,
also had Seduction of the Innocent, you know, kind of really make a big impact on. You know,
yeah, but the bigger thing was the fact that it was the big boost in the 40s, and then the world changed. And then what happened after that is you had the 50s come around, and the 60s, and the golden era then, and then instead of using those characters that they had before, they basically take those same characters and created a younger generation that was contemporary to who was the generation buying those comics. That's why you have a new had Jake Garrick was in your Flash when that came around. That's why you had Hal Jordan instead of Alan Scott. That's why you had except for Superman, but obviously you know that Superman, when you saw the Superman that appeared in 1938, he had great temples and you know, in Crisis and all that, and you didn't need the explanation.
Well, talking about Alan Scott being kind of like the outlier of Green Lanterns too. I mean, also his the basis. He's really unique because the basis of his powers is
Are magic.
Yeah, his are magic. Green Lantern's much more sci-fi. So it's he's a Green Lantern of like, it's kind of like the difference between he's a Green Lantern you might like expect to like see in like the Wizard of Oz. Maybe is like the way to put it with the Alan Scott. How's it going, Bill?
Hello.
When are we yeah, you know, it's like funny you mention that too, because I could almost I could see like Alan Scott being a Green Lantern that Gunn would actually gravitate towards. It's like one like the offbeat, like kind of similar to what he did with Guy Gardner. I could see him doing something with Alan Scott if not already the docket, probably in the back of his mind.
I think he's got to get some. I think he's got to get some.
You think he'll be
real estate?
Maybe.
I think he could be referenced in the show. No, I am not available until Thursday or Friday for that. So if you want to do it on Thursday or Friday, let me know.
No, because that's gonna be fun because I like Gloryville a lot. William doesn't.
I'm gonna fuck that movie up. Because it's I'm not even that we may not even get through it, Tony. Because I'm there's not going to be the beginning of it is it's I should have known. We're sitting at this party forever. By the way, that's a long time for them. That movie's 92 minutes, and they spend an awful lot of time on some meaningless shit that I don't care about. I don't care about any of those people. And then all of a sudden we start getting to the nitty gritty where you know, they had the Statue of Liberty because that's what you saw in the commercial, and I'm like, all right, here we go.
That movie, that marketing was
some. Marketing was great, but it was better than the movie, of course. Statue of Liberty.
I don't think they even like revealed the title initially. They just showed like this these shots of like this. They didn't even show the monster. Just to, like they established a monster as attacking you. People thought.
I thought back. You know what? And I know this is probably going to get us fucked over.
You want to play the trailer? Because I remember people thinking at the time this might be like a new Godzilla movie.
In the spirit of demonetization, let's lose some.
Oh, and yes, this was Matt Reeves. Before he really kind of made a name for himself. That's why it's one of those cases where like they really emphasize the producer far more in the marketing, which is why JJ's name was like plastered all over the place and like This came out today. Matt Reeves, he'd totally be front and center in the marketing.
Now, this was you saw this in we were going to see Transformers. It was in front of Transformers.
I remember.
We did not know this was coming. This was like this was yeah, and this was one of the.
In fact, it was coming out in January too.
Yeah, because after that it said 1/17/08 because it was 08 when it came out. All right, I think this is the right trailer. Well, we'll know.
Here, let's go.
This was also before like found footage like really, became like the big craze in horror movies. This is like a year and a half before Paranormal Activity really kind of like kicked that off. Lucy Kaplan, where she broke out.
Literally broke out in this movie. She explodes.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Oh, that's some gallows humor, man.
Hey, how am I gonna survive without you? I don't know. I'm like your main dude.
Now, we didn't even know that this was a monster movie. Yeah, this is where we found out. We're like, oh, shit.
Well, even then, it's like this. Is this like is this an earthquake or what is this?
Well, you're at the roar.
Yeah, that's true.
Pouring into the New York One newsroom as a thunderous roaring sound.
Do you see something on the roof?
What animal sounds like that?
Yeah. Only these fucking yuppies would go on the roof. My ass is getting out. Earthquake? Yeah, here we go.
Water yet?
Here we go. See, this is cool.
Look how strong this. I mean, this bad boy sent that head of the Statue of Liberty like 5 miles.
Now you want to run. All right.
What is it? Is it coming this way? I saw it. It's alive. It's huge.
Look at how far it sends. It sends the head. I mean, toss that thing like a ball. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
By the way, the Statue of Liberty's head is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best night ever.
Well, it looks kind of like it's been kind of chewed on there too. Yeah, we got
So
no title.
That's what you got.
This is
That's
just
what we got.
Monster Attacks New York in January of 2008.
And we didn't get a title for months. We didn't get a title until the next year. We didn't get a title till 08. Because this movie came out 6 months. Because this was the July 4th weekend. So Transformers came out in July 4th weekend of 2007. So that's 7. So actually, no, I'm sorry. This movie came out 5 months, 6 months. So 6 months. Yeah. So I think later on, I think maybe August or September when we finally got Cloverfield, and we didn't know what the fuck that meant because then you find out about the project and all that shit. But so yeah, Chappie, when if you're rebel, I know because like I said, you might want to mute me because I'm gonna shred that fucking movie. All right, because I am. We need to add a game to that movie of stupid points. How much dumb shit. And like, in a basketball game, we have a 3-pointer if you shoot from 23 feet. And football, you get, touchdowns. We need to develop a point system for the stupid shit that happens in Cloverfield. And then play a game with it or something. Can't do a drink. I don't drink. But if you do a drinking game when it's stupid, you're going to die of alcohol poisoning before the movie's over. So, yeah, I got to think of something creative. I just can't watch that movie again. That movie took 92 minutes of my time that I can't get back. And also, we need to count how long the fucking Cloverfield monster is on the screen. I can tell you it's not long enough for the money I paid. I'll point out to you with a point where people were throwing up, and I'm telling people, listen, because you could see them doing this shit. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna barf. I can tell.
Aaron says, leave it to boy, don't go after a damn ex-girlfriend.
That's right. Sorry, Beth, you're dead.
Well, I mean, he was alive when they got there. I mean, it wasn't,
That's not something I would have ever found out. Sorry, I'm just gonna assume she's dead.
What was he say to like the dumb guy? Is yeah. Well, he's when they get to the 2 buildings and one of them's keeled over on the other, and they're like, "How are we gonna pull this off?" Says, well, why don't we go like on the one still standing straight and then cross over on the roof and then climb down? And they'd say, "Oh, it's a great idea. Let's do it."
Yeah, we don't. That's what we do. But yeah, I mean, so we do a game. We do a game. Like I said, how much screen time does the monster have? Not enough. How much stupid shit did they do? A lot. How many times they could have gotten the hell out of there and didn't. So yeah, I'm gonna shred that movie because and like I said, the people were throwing. I can tell you, there's a certain spot I'll never forget. A certain spot in this movie where within 6 minutes I had somebody behind me throwing up and I had somebody below me throwing up, and I knew it was coming because they're doing this shit. Whenever you're doing this shit, you're in the movie. And the movie's shaking all over, so all you're eating that food, you're eating that pretzels, you're drinking that shit, and then you're shaking your whole body, and you're leaning like this. What the fuck are you doing? It's not like D-Box where now they shake you around. So knew it was coming, and then even people were warning us to, when you bite your teeth,
signs saying like you might get motion sickness from this.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh fuck, and then my hatred for his found footage was cemented right there and then, dude. I'm like, there's puke everywhere. And people, I gotta get up and go to the bathroom. I'm like, and I'm like, one guy he made it out of the theater because he was sitting next to me, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, dude, did you throw up on me? I'm gonna fuck you up. And then as soon as I saw him doing this, I got up and I pointed. I'm like, dude, you gotta go, man, because if you throw up on me, listen, it's bad enough. I can hear it behind me and I can see it in front of me. You've been leaning towards me this whole fucking movie. And if fluid leaves your mouth, I might kill you right here. So you need to get up and go. And I stood up. I remember waiting for him to come back because I just knew he needed to throw up a little bit. Because I'm like, and then he comes like, thanks, man. I'm like, yeah, thank both of us, because if you'd have hurled, man, God, yeah. So yeah, people were throwing up in that movie, and I'm like, and then like I said, it was just such a disappointing movie for me. That advertising campaign, if I could have just not seen the movie and just had the anti-campaign to it, I would have been okay with that movie. Yeah, Chappie, Thursday and Fridays when I'm available, let me know if one of those days works.
It's not a very long movie either, so it's pretty doable as a watch party on like a Thursday night.
Yeah, too short not to have the monster in there more than 6 minutes.
No, see, this is where I just really the payoff of it is when thank you. When the dude with the camera comes face to face with the monster, and you kind of
that was unintentional.
Get a first person experience of being eaten by the towering
Godzilla being dumb because his bitch ass had time to run. It's a while before the damn monster wasn't even the monster wasn't even looking at him at first. The monster turns down and looks at him. He has enough time to run. He's
an ant underneath of like a human's foot. Like he would have gotten like 30 feet before it caught him.
Yeah, whatever. Like I said, that dummy. That's that. Like I said, by the time you get to that dummy's death, if you're playing the drinking game of Cloverfield, stupid people and stupid shit, you may need to have your stomach pumped at this point because there's a lot of stupid shit in that movie, and we'll cover it. If we screen that movie, I'm not letting you guys escape. If I had to live the stupidity of that movie, you're gonna live it with me, Beth. We gotta say Beth. Though, listen, you see that party? Most of those people half-ass know each other, and the rest of them are drunk. If you're not in that building with me when that ground stops shaking, I'm sorry. Good luck. Who's Beth? And then one of them in the movie is like, who's Beth? Well, it's his ex-girlfriend. If you got to ask who Beth is, who the person you're about to risk your life to go see, then you don't need to go. None of this romance shit. There's nothing romantic about dying a stupid death. You're about to leave her. The party was for you to leave her. So
the party because he got like a vice presidency of something.
And he's going to Japan. He's leaving Beth. Beth didn't want to go. It's over. It's over. What if that would have happened after the party and you were in Tokyo? I'm like, what? Now I can see him being dumb enough to go. I can see him being dumb enough to go. All right. Him convincing all those fucking people to go. Where was the person in that movie said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?"
Well, all of them are telling him that. He says, "Let's go."
As they go with him, what good is it to talk sense into him as you follow the dummy into Armageddon?
No. Well, it's good to know that if we ever get attacked by a giant
If
kaiju
you
monster,
do something
that
stupid,
Liam's
yeah,
gonna
get
turn
good.
the other way and like leave me. To
Hey,
defend
listen,
myself.
guys. If you're in a life or death situation and you choose death, hey, nothing I can do for you. If the arm, like I always say, the army is telling you to go this way and you go that way, there's not enough loyalty in the world. My loyalty to you is going to get me killed. It's going to get us all killed.
Well, think of it like in samurai terms, like how to kitty.
That's a last resort. These people start off the adventure stupid. I mean, there are so many signs that says we don't need to be here. We don't need to be in the subway with all these crabby creatures that bite you and make you explode. They learned that one the hard way. So many signs saying go back, get on the helicopter, let's go to take the bridge. And by the time they decided to take the bridge, that shit was too late. You even watched, listen, the only excuse that I give for when the kaiju is crushing everything is Godzilla -1 because they were in shock. They were like, what the fuck is this? And he showed them what it was. But all the other movies, when Godzilla's coming back, and they're tracking Godzilla's headed to the shore. Guess where William is headed? Far away from that. You don't see them people are running. It's only Millie Bobby Brown and Kyle Chandler and all the people that we got to study it. I'm like, no, everybody else is gone, dude. And like I said, Godzilla -1, they're like, shit, what is this? They can't believe what they're seeing until he smokes half the fucking town and then enjoys his artwork. And I'm like, then he left. There should have been by the time Godzilla was heading back by the end of Godzilla -1, there should have been nobody in Japan. We got to go because
there's definitely no one in Tokyo after what he does there.
When he nukes the town and just stands there and admires his work, he's going to do more work, and you don't need to be there when he comes back. But not Cloverfield. Nah, Cloverfield. Oh my goodness! And like I said, big fan of Matt Reeves. I love J.J. Abrams. That wasn't it for me, man. And I remember when we left the theater, I was so disappointed in this movie because the ad campaign is going to be, like I said, that is an all-time great ad campaign, and it just led to that fucking movie.
You think of that had an ad campaign that was like that cryptic, and there's nothing I can think of offhand that kind of did.
They had a billboard. All the billboard said was 1/18/08.
I think the closest thing I can think of actually is the '98, the Roman Emmerich Godzilla. Because that didn't even like hide there was a Godzilla movie, but it kept his appearance hidden. And you had like billboards saying like his foot's as long as his bust and things like that. So that's the closest thing I could think of.
And that's another disappointing movie. By the way, I prefer Peter Jackson King Kong. I'm all right with Peter Jackson's King Kong. I mean, I don't prefer. I have a spot in my heart for Godzilla -1 that does not overlap with the, because I love the legendary movies. Like, in fact, Monarch, by the way, a legendary. Yeah. Wow, that looks great. People are like, we should stop making legendary movies because Godzilla -1 shows you how to do it. No, it shows you how to do that type of movie.
Well, -1 shows you how to cook filet mignon, and legendary Monsterverse that shows you how to like have a barbecue.
Both are fun.
Yeah.
One of them is, dude, there's no, people try to compare -1 to the legendary movies. There's Godzilla in them. That's it. -1 is a war movie. -1 is a war movie with a lizard in it, because -1 it's about guilt. It's about trauma. It's about
recovering from getting nuked twice,
building something out of the ashes of nothing. That is what, more so than Godzilla is just a vessel that brings them all together. But that movie is more about redemption. Like, dude, my crowd clapped when he ejects. And they have that flash. That's one of my favorite parts about that movie. When they flash back to him showing them the eject button. Because that same guy, everybody was mad about that guy because he had left. He wasn't the kamikaze guy. He was supposed to die in honor. And he was human. He didn't want to. And, so he's trying to redeem himself. And the guy who's been badgering him, one of the guys who's been badgering him the whole time, says, you know what? I see what you're about to do, and it's not worth it. We need to stop dying. And he said, choose to live. Live. In the midst of all this horror that Godzilla is bringing down here, in the horror of the war, they found something livable in that. That's what that movie's about. And yeah, Godzilla's there. Fucking shut up. Whereas the legendary movies, which I love equally as well, except for Godzilla 2014, Too Much Human Interest, but they are fun. They are over the top. They are fun, and that's the old Toho style. When you had Godzilla bouncing around on his tail, doing drop kicks on Godzilla. That didn't even, on King Kong. So that was fun, and there's room for both of these movies, man. I never want to pit -1 versus any legendary movie because I love them both. So let's see. Unfortunately,
we're gonna get -0, this coming holiday season.
Yeah, and like I said, didn't deserve the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, but I thought that movie should have been nominated for Best Movie. It was that level of movie instead of stealing a Creators Award. Unfortunately, I did not go to see Transformers in the movie theater, but I got note on DVD. I don't remember seeing. Yeah, because the trailer is on DVD on the DVD because it was on its way out. It was a trailer. It's funny because the trailer was for the movie that was showing Transformers movie, but the Transformers DVD was for the Cloverfield DVD that was coming out. The people taking video. Oh yeah. Are you talking about on the top of the building as the building? Those people are crazy. It's coming right at us. Clue, you need to leave. Okay. I'm sorry, you're on a skyscraper and that thing can't move. Even if it wanted to avoid some of those buildings, it is so huge, it's literally knocking them over on accident. And why are you still filming? Listen, they'll believe you. Get off that roof. And they died. Let's see. It's just take by William is hilarious. Meanwhile, the humans in the legendary gods in these movies are worse. Yeah, because Godzilla, the very first one, where the guys, I think it's Bryan Cranston and his wife, there was just too much focus on the humans, man. Just too much focus on the humans. I just didn't need to. But that Godzilla movie has some of the best Godzilla scenes when they do that halo jump. And that's the one that they used for the poster where they're all haloing and they're all on Godzilla. Godzilla's back is in the background. That was a cool scene. Yeah.
One guy's like that close to Godzilla's jaws.
Yeah. And he's like looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? But my favorite one is when when you first see Godzilla for the first time in that movie and he's fighting that Muton. The Muton, and he's a Muton. What the fuck? He's fighting them, and when that battle ends up, when he uses his fire breath for the first time, he opens his mouth and just burns the insides out,
and head off,
and rips his head off, and he does his scream. I have enjoyed just about every Godzilla movie. Like I said, I enjoyed certain things about the 2014 one. But the second Godzilla, King of the Monsters, that's the one we got to promote big time. And then we had Godzilla versus Kong, which I think was just was so much fun. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well,
it was a ridiculous movie, but it was so much fun.
And it was the first movie during the COVID era that really was released theatrically and was a big breakout.
Have I ever shown you guys pictures of that?
And the joke I tell with that is that's exactly why it was such a hit theatrically, because we had all collectively just experienced. I mean, it's just the perfect thing. You just vent all of that pent up.
By the way, everybody thinks that all the movies that were released day and date and that were ruined, that movie was the first one, and it did just fine. It had to be a movie people could. Let's see. No, that was back in 2021. I want to find that because have I ever shown you guys those pictures?
I think you may have.
When we did the drive-in in the parking lot, we did a drive-in in the parking lot in promotion of Godzilla versus Kong, but I don't know how do you search pictures on Instagram? Let me see, because I know they're on our let's see, hold on. And these are pictures that some of these pictures got shared by Warner Brothers and Legendary because they actually shared our stuff. So we blew on. So photos. Let's see. Does it allow for me to? I have to go back to let's see, search. So that was what, March 2021? That was March. What?
Yeah.
Let's see, March 2020. That was some serious fun in that promo, man. Damn it, how do you do this? Let's just do 2021. 2021. Wow, what a rough year that was, boy. It was getting better. It was getting, oh man, we did Candyman that year. Oh man. Let me bring this up. Oh dude, look at this. Okay. This is I'm gonna show you guys. This is totally off topic, but I keep reminding me that we're I'm looking for Godzilla, but we did the Candyman promo this year, and I remember this.
Oh, I think you told me about this. Yeah, Reed, that you send the ticket holders in the bathroom. They have to say Candyman and what? Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is the bathroom. The one, okay, because there was one where at the end of it, I had his face with a bunch of flies coming out. It was actually a motion, and that one kept getting taken down by I think it was Universal. They kept taking it down, and I'm like, no, I have permission to do this. And Universal had to email, I think it was YouTube or somebody on Facebook, to tell them to stop taking it down. That I had permission. Let's see, this is May. So this is May. I see Candyman. I love that movie. These are all the posters we were given. And then what we did is we showed the original. We showed the original. They had to show the original Candyman, and that's where I had the our patrons go into that bathroom that you just saw, and in order to get their free tickets, they had to say Candyman 5 times in front of the mirror. You wouldn't believe how much resistance I got for this. I actually got video somewhere. It might even be on this one where there's a girl that sang it. She kept getting the floor, and then she kept running out and finding. I'm like, do you want these tickets or not? So she said, and I got her a picture because Universal wanted me to send the video to them. So I had you sign something to, hey, we're gonna put this on there. And yeah, we had video of people getting scared shitless. It was so fun. So yeah, but we showed the original Candyman. Then we did The Conjuring. That's the end of it. What is that? That is not all we did in 2021. This was even in May. I remember that. That was November 17th. I forgot why we even did that because I don't even celebrate that one. And this is all the stuff that we got for Candyman. We got a ton of shirts for Candyman, and that was done in the artwork. That was I can't find. I really need to find that. Hold on. But yeah, we did the Godzilla thing. We had huge footprints. Hold on. Kong. Let's see. Here we go. March 30th. Hold on. Something's wrong with my computer. Here we go. So here's the so this is all the merchandise we got for it. I mean, we got a crap ton of oops, hold on. That's not it. Let's kick that one off. We got a crap ton of merchandise for this. I mean, we got hundreds of beanies. I mean, this is up to this point, this was the most that they had sent us. I mean, we would get like about 20, 30 t-shirts, but we got like I mean, this is just we got a bunch of those, man. We got the wristbands, the shirts. We right there we made our own tickets.
You've just won
Let's see.
a lifetime supply of butter.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, we had let's see if I can find it. Can't find anything. 2021 for me. That's not 20. That's 2021 for everybody. Hold on, I'll find it. Here, keep the masses in wow, that's a horror. What is that from? Oh, this is new. This is what you were talking about. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's the
like, okay, yeah. See how involved in the show I was.
He says in the caption that's actually the first picture he took of Henry in the Christopher Reeve suit.
Yeah.
Okay. And I, of course, had fun with that. I posted on Twitter. I said, Zach, please never, ever, ever stop sharing these. I think he's speeding it up, if anything, with the stuff he's putting out. So I don't know what his game is, but keep stirring that pot. Please keep stirring that pot. But yes, that was pretty awesome to see. What else you guys got in the chat? Here are my sons. Yeah, that's cool. I don't have sons, so I just saw it on my lonesome. Erase one. Fast and Furious franchise of legendary MonsterVerse. I know which one William's going to pick. I think at this, yeah, I've kind of hung up my hat on Fast and Furious. The only one, like seven really was, in hindsight, that really was the ideal ending point for them. And the only one I've really liked since then has been Hobbs and Shaw. And the Fate, Fast 9, Fast 6, it's just Looney Tunes on wheels now. I mean, this series is just so beyond ridiculous. So it's like, can I modify it a little bit? It's like you keep Legendary MonsterVerse and keep Fast and Furious through Furious 7 and Hobbs and Shaw, and then everything else. Even then, I don't know if I want to erase any of the subsequent Fast Furious because they're so funny. They're so hilarious. They're so hilarious. It's just they're complete. How just not even like untethered to reality. It's just. I mean, it's the answer for everything in this is like family. The answer to every question, the answer to every like impossible feat of automotive machismo that Dominic Toretto pulls off. How to do it? Power of family. It's all family. It's all family. So, yeah, I don't know if I would erase even the ones that are jumped the shark that much. And who knows what's going to happen? What's going on with this latest one now? Because it's they way overspent on the last one and way jumped the shark. I wrote a piece on Fortress where I said maybe they should pull like a Machete Kills, just like leave it on that cliffhanger for all time. I don't know what you think about that, guys. That'd be kind of hilarious if they did that. My favorite Fast Push is Paranormal 3. Yeah, it's like that's the of the series. That's the one that I put like about neck and neck with the original. Paranormal Activity 3 is really, really good. And we got a 7 in the works. We got James Wan is reviving that series, and like not this May but next May is when the next Paranormal Activity is supposed to be out. Again, Hollywood, nothing ever stays dead. If it made money once, they'll find a way to get it to make money again. Yes, yeah, Aaron, yeah, I know. She's in. She returns briefly at the end of the last one. They established that Giselle is still alive. And I've said this elsewhere. It's like I really hope, because her ostensible death Fantastic Furious 6, where she falls off of the plane, on the runway going 100 miles an hour and lands on a concrete tarmac. I really hope they don't even bother trying to explain how she survived. Or like William said one time, you just say, "Oh, she thought they rolled," and then she just went into hiding for 10 years. Yeah, I really hope they don't even like try to go into detail. You say, "Oh, she's back because family." Even that though, again, if they never get this finale off the ground, it's like I'm like, okay, whatever. This series, in my mind, officially ended with 7 and had one spinoff with Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw, I love, and it's a big part of it is you got one of the the John Wick guys, Mr. David Leitch directing that, and Statham and The Rock have great chemistry. Idris Elba's awesome villain in it. So yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. That's the only one post 7 that I think really kind of hit the mark. Yeah, if they do actually manage to get this finale off the ground, again, bring Gaul back into it and just like don't just hand wave it away. It's like she's back, just family. We don't care. It's family. My favorite found footage movie is one called Alien Abduction. Yeah, I mean, I
can't find it. I can't. I had it. It's not. I knew I posted it on our Instagram, but I can't. It's been like what? We're almost 5 years now. Because I know I wish I could find that. Let's see, Zofie's Kong trailer. I did. Let's see. Yeah, I can't find any of the stuff that I had, but it was kind of cool because we had the parking lot all set up. I mean, it was neat. We had a foot.
Yeah, because I kind of Googled Sci-Fi Center like before, because for those I mean, William is like I knew of William like before we started streaming together. So I Googled Sci-Fi Center a couple times and I'd seen like you've done like during COVID done like made like a makeshift drive-in out in the landing strip. There's a parking lot out there.
Yeah, and it was like I mean we had a giant monkey footprint, and we had I can't even find the emails, but we had the parking lot set up. So those passages you saw people had, they put them in their mirror, not their mirror, but in their windshield. And so that's where you parked. So you were either Team Kong or you were Team Godzilla. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I wish I could find the video from that. I know I've shown it here before. All right, let's see where we're at here. We're about to wrap it up. I don't think I've never seen it. I think so because I've seen the advertisement before. If it's found footage, I'm probably not going to watch it. If you want to keep me away, like it's like if you don't want me to eat your food, put pineapple on it. It's a good chance I won't touch it. I mean, if you want me not to be anywhere near your movie, make it found footage. Because I will I don't know. I mean, if you said Blade Runner 2070 was found footage, I can't go. I hate those movies. Let's see. Yeah, I wish I could find that. I'm gonna find that for you guys. I'm gonna bring it up because, like I said, we got to film all that stuff, and we had to film all that stuff because we had to send it to them. And I remember their guy being down there, and I think I'm filming. If you look at the video, I'm filming the guy that they sent to show the. I'm like, what do you guys? I had a giant. It was like a 40-foot screen. It was a 40-foot screen. I wish I could find those pictures of because those are those are the good old days. I mean, as good as they could be. As good as they could be because we were coming out of obviously we were coming out of COVID, so we had lost like 1 million people.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, it was as much fun, and we were happy to be out doing stuff again. The drive-in thing we were able to do because it was outside, and hold on first. Kong. I wonder if I can find it this way, Kong. It was the first time that we were not allowed to make a flyer for the event. That's how much centralized control. That's how much centralized control that they had over the promotion. I mean, it was it was weird. It was like I said, it's the only time we've ever had them come in and tell us this is what you got to do, this is what you had to do. So yeah, it was weird, but yeah, that movie was really fun. It was a fun movie to watch too. So wish I could find this one. So yeah, we had damn, I got all kinds of Instagram shit on here for me that I forgot about, and Facebook for that matter. Here we go. I wonder if we posted anything in here. Some of these places are, I remember how many people showed up. We had a shitload of people show up for this. Yeah, I can't find it, but yeah, it was one of our first drive-ins ones we did. But yeah, here's the I have the flyer. I won't bring that up, but yeah, we had the flyer. That it was such a boring flyer. I had a kick-ass flyer made up, and I sent it to them, and they're like, "No, we want something a little bit more tame." It's like, this is the only time in all of our time working together that they've ever made a flyer for me. Every other time since then and before then, we made our own flyers, and that was it. All right. Thursday night, midnight. Okay, let me see where we're at. We might do it a little bit earlier because I'm like available the whole day. Are you available earlier, chap? All right, who brought up Fast and Furious in my chat? What the hell's wrong with you people? Team Kong. Yeah, we have people, and you could choose. At the first time, you could choose, but once most people chose Kong, and then we would tell you, okay, you're keeping, and you got a T-shirt. So when you showed up to the event, you were in dressed out. You were your Team Kong. You had your T-shirt. We had wristbands. You guys saw the wristbands I showed you. You had your wristbands, and we had a parking placard for you. And so we had you arranged so that you would be parked on either side. So Team Kong was on the left. Team Godzilla was on the right. And then we would cheer. We would play games. All kinds of shit, man. It was fun. Need to get back into doing that shit again. So does anybody else have anything to get off their chest here before we wrap this up? Going a little bit longer than our 90 minutes, but yeah, most of it was looking for shit. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, the next time you will see me will be on Tuesday, our normally scheduled show. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Just remember that. And I'm going to change the YouTube page so that it shows you when we're doing it. So you guys can set your clocks by it, and start getting ready and get that and listen to that alert bell when it comes out instead of half hour into it. You don't even if you know when I'm coming on, then you don't need the alert bell. That's how that is going to work. So, all right. So no vote on the Game of Thrones. No, I have only got halfway through it. What I wanted to do, I'm going to do a poll. If you guys want to see, I should have done it already, but I got distracted. If you guys want to do watch alongs for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, then we can do them in place of our Sunday night show on some of them, because some of them I'll be available all day, so we can do the Wednesday, we can do the Sunday night weekend wrap up and the Game of Thrones show. So I just want to know if you guys are interested, and I don't want to, it's no fun if it's just me, Brad, and maybe Clint watching. I mean, most of our watch parties have been pretty successful. So I want to keep them that way. I can watch Game of Thrones on my own, but if you guys want to do a watch party of it, let's let me know. You need to let me know in the comments, and then when I post a poll, we can do that. So, William, are there any monsters they can introduce as an anti-hero or Kong? No. Well, they bought in Mothra. They bought in Rodan. I mean, I think they're going to keep it to ones that people know the most, though. So you only got a handful of those. The smoke monster, the smog monster. Nobody's going to go for that. I mean, I don't think so. But Mechagodzilla, they bought in. But that was hilarious. How Mechagodzilla was beating the shit out of normal Godzilla after he had taken out Kong, and which I consider an unfair fight. I thought Kong did the best he could. Kong came out of that looking good because Kong was fighting a dragon basically fighting a dragon with a whip and a flamethrower, which basically would be like me fighting somebody with. He was at a complete disadvantage, and he was the only way he survived is because he was smart. Because the monkey was smarter than the lizard. Because Kong figured shit out real quick, like, oh, this axe can absorb this, and then he saved Godzilla's ass when I was one of my favorite when he has him. He's like, hey, charge it up, and he charges it up, and he just starts hacking the shit out of that.
It's like Kaiju BVS,
or
Kaiju BVS.
You know what? Not everything has to be referenced as BVS.
Well, no, it's like they start as enemies, and then there's a monster that.
There's a lot of movies like that. That's just the only one, but sure. All right, guys, that is Kazuki. Oh my god, that was so late.
And I can almost see them putting Godzuki and the monster.
That's all I remember. That's all I remember is fucking. That's all he would do, and he would blow his little smoke puffs or his little smoke rings. All right, guys, like, subscribe, share, and barring just me, jumping on the internet at random, we will see you on Tuesday evening with some type of topic or one another. If you are watching on Twitter or any other apparatus, right down below, that's where you need to go, youtube.com/@the-sci-fi center. Love having you watch, but whether you, like I said, the foundation of the show is built on YouTube. So there you go. See you Tuesday. Goodbye.
See you guys.